Two suspects allegedly stormed the religious building during morning prayers. Authorities say the two cousins were armed with a knife, gun, axes. The two men were later killed during a shootout with police. Several people were also injured in the assault, including one Canadian, originally from the Toronto area. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is saying his government is going to respond strongly to this attack, and he also called on the international community to join him in condemning the violence. Clifford May is the president of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, a nonpartisan policy institute that focuses on foreign policies, coming to us today from Washington. Cliff, thanks for being here. You know, there is so much tension nowadays in Jerusalem. This is obviously a dramatic escalation of it. What is going on here? We know there's controversy over this religious site in the Old City. We've seen these attacks. There was, of course, the war in Gaza in the summer, kind of all coming together, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's sort of a witch's brew that has been simmering for a long time now. It started with the kidnapping and killing of 3 Israelis in the West Bank. Then there was the kidnapping and killing and revenge, apparently, of a Palestinian youth. There was the 50-day war in Gaza. And as you say, there is a controversy right now over the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Temple Mount. Muslims call it the former, Israelis will call it the latter. It's actually both. That has been since 1967. Under the watchful eyes of an Islamic endowment, a Waqf, and nothing is going to change according to Israeli authorities. Muslims can pray there, Jews cannot. They can only pray at the Western Wall. But there have been persistent rumors, I think put out with bad intent by various groups, saying that the Israelis do intend to change the arrangements or do intend to do some damage to this site, the holiest site in Judaism, the third holiest site in Islam. And this is causing, and I think there's been a lot of incitement to terrorism, and what's new here is that it's residents of East Jerusalem. These are not people in the West Bank. These are not people in Gaza. And it's disturbing. The tension seems to be getting worse in Jerusalem pretty much day by day.
We saw 4 rabbis killed today. There were, of course, 2 other attacks against pedestrians recently as well in Jerusalem by Palestinians. And you start to wonder whether this is sort of a sign or a potential flashpoint for a third intifada.
That's certainly one of the theories, and it could be, but there are other theories as well. One possibility is that this attack today was staged by the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. That is a group that's actually Marxist, although here they're getting involved in a religious conflict, and they are backed very much by Iran. But Iran might like to see a third intifada. Iran might think that's a good thing at this time, to have tension there and take some of the attention off of them. It's always very difficult to tell the motives. So there could be these things, but we're not seeing an intifada necessarily in the West Bank. We have seen some violence. We have seen some killings. But from what I understand, Israeli-Palestinian military and security cooperation actually persists in the West Bank.
You try to think about what will stop this violence, Cliff, and I'm curious whether you think ultimately it's got to be a sustainable peace plan.
I don't think anybody has a sustainable peace plan, and I don't think you can get back to one until you stop the violence. I don't think it works that way. I don't think you start with the plan, because the best plan you can imagine, various groups like the PLFP or Hamas will say it's not good enough because it doesn't give us everything we want, and what Hamas wants, what the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine wants, is for Israel to disappear, to be annihilated, which is the way that the Iranian leader Ali Khamenei put it the other day. So you can't have that. You need to stop the violence and maybe get back to the table and begin to talk. And I think you need to stop incitement to violence. And there's been too much of that lately. Mahmoud Abbas used to be very careful not to incite violence. Recently, he's not been so careful. He talks about a day of rage. That is really not helpful. That's why I think you saw a fairly strong statement from Secretary of State John Kerry today, saying the incitement to violence really has to stop because it's leading to these kinds of murders, and these kinds of murders are going to lead only to other bad things.
Cliff, always good to have you on the program. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.